Amen. I want to talk to you about the essentials of the journey. You're on a journey. I'm on a journey. And so what are the essentials? What are the things that are very, very important? The necessities of life, the importance of life, the critical, the crucial things that you must say and think and do if you're going to be in this journey of ministry. And I believe that, I know you're there, I believe that you would be interested in responding to that. But listen, my wife and I, there's a place called the Grand Canyon here in America. And we decided after we got married, let's go travel down the Grand Canyon. It's like 10 hours, sometimes 8 to 10 hours of walking to get down the Grand Canyon. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, mountain there in America. And so we went to that place, and we started walking down, and it was hard, it was long. When they were telling us to go, they sent us through a class, and in that class they wanted over 70 pounds of food and water and all sorts of things that you have to carry on your back. And we just looked at each other, and we're athletes, and we said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to carry all that stuff. We're going to walk and enjoy the walk. We're not going to be carrying 70 pounds of weight all this journey. So we walked down. We just said, you know what? I believe that along that path, there will be a water stop. And sure enough, even though they said, bring your own water, we found water on the path going down the range. And, so I think it would just be terrible to be carrying that much weight. But because we walked so light and because we were so loose, we walked at least 3 groups that had injuries on that road. And we were praying for them. We were praying for the sick on the Grand Canyon. But that's how, and then we walked back up we slept that's all we took was something to sleep on, just a little mat to sleep on. And the rest, we just said, you know what, we'll get it on the road. We're not going to weigh ourselves down on this road. So I don't want you to be weighed down. I want you to get on that road, but don't weigh yourself down. We just bring a stick and a blanket and a few granola bars, candy bars, and that's all we had. But it became a great experience, a great memory to be on that road again. Jesus said this. I want to talk about the road you're on. Jesus said, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy." Listen to what Jesus is saying. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. I don't want to be around people who are burdened down. I have the burden of Jesus. It's not a heavy burden. It's a joyful burden. I'm happy about it. I'm enjoying who he is. I'm enjoying the experiences he gives. And anyway, I just wanted to start about the essentials. I wanted to point out that when you're walking in the Christian world, there are essentials for you to understand. One, a craving. You need to have a craving. You know what a craving is? A craving is a strong desire. You must have a strong desire in order to make a difference in this world. You can have strong desires. You can have strong distaste. When I was growing up at the table, 8 children, and my mother always put tomatoes in front of every one of us. I hated tomatoes, and I wouldn't eat the tomato. And she'd say, "You're not getting away from the table until you ate." So I would just sit there for hours because I didn't want to eat that tomato. Eventually, when I moved to Russia, I started to like tomatoes, and now because of pizza, I pretty much eat tomatoes on a regular basis. But I've learned and developed a habit and a like for them. And so, that craving, that strong desire, you must have that. And that's something that only God can satisfy you with. And I just had this happen in the Buddhist. I wrote down this. All the Buddhists, the Muslims, the Western religious denominations, the Hindus cannot fill the void left only for Christ to fill with knowledge of salvation and peace with God. Knowledge of salvation, knowing where you're going, and peace with God on the trip. So these are the 2 things that are very important. You must harbor them, the communication with a harmony and the purpose of God in your life. And that's very, very important. The Buddhists do not have that. That we were preaching in one country, and a Buddhist lady, an older lady, was in that meeting. She came out. She grabbed me like I was like she was going to die. She just held out so tight. And I said, "What is it that you want?" She says, "I will follow you everywhere. I will follow you everywhere." And I said, "Well, we're going to be going to another city." I told her the name of the city. This was in was it Tonkin? And so I said where it was, and I said, "But I'm not going to be taking you there." She goes, "But listen, I have been a Buddhist priest for over 30 years. I've surrendered my whole life, my family, everything. I surrendered them so that I could follow the Buddhist God. And you know what? There is no Buddhist God. I met Jesus today when you were preaching. And now I know that I'm going to heaven. And now I want to learn more about this Jesus." And I said, "Well, we will be preaching. And you're welcome to come." Well, she did come. Every moment of every day she was listening. And she goes, "I spent 30 years of my life listening to the wrong thing. And now I'm listening to you and life is changing. I see God. I believe I have a future. And my family will now be saved. And everything is different." And she was so happy. It didn't matter about money. It didn't matter about personality. It mattered that before she died, she was alive with God. She knew where she was going. And even though she lost to a religion, she lost them all of her time, she still had time to go, and she wanted to make sure that her family was going to go with her. So craving is very important. She got a great craving desire put in her. And I want you to have that craving desire in you as well. Another key word, an essential for your journal, is this: action. Action is a motion. It is a process that you do. And there's a lot of people getting educated at Bible schools, and they have information, but they don't have expectation. Why don't they have expectation? Because they don't have answers. They're not moving in a direction. Answers, see, it's okay to lose. One of the things that I learned in sports is that you have to lose in order to win. And that might sound odd to you, but being in sports and winning or runner-up in over 100 tennis tournaments, and being the captain of a team, I understand this, is that in order for me to get better, in order for me to grow in that area, I have to lose. I have to go where the people are better, where they have more knowledge that they are applying, that I can learn from. And that's what it is. Don't be happy. If you're a preacher, don't be happy with just 5 people or 10 people. Go and hang around people. Go to meetings. Find people you see the results. Find people where miracles are happening. We have so many people follow us on the miracle trail. When they hear that miracles are happening, they come and they want to. Why do they want to come? Because they want those same miracles in their ministry. And in order to have them, you must see them. You must experience them. You must be a part of them. And so it's not just knowledge, but it's application. The goal is not stimulation, but it is involvement. It's being involved. Okay? That's a key element. I'm talking about the essentials for you. I'm talking to you as if you were ministers, but if you're Christians listening to me, we're all ministers. We're not just ministers. No, we're something better. The Bible says we are ambassadors for Christ. How about that? I like that word. The Apostle Paul says that we are ambassadors for Christ. You know what an ambassador is? He represents a nation. And so you are representing the nation of heaven on earth. You are an ambassador of Christ. Every day when you wake up, say, an ambassador just woke up. I tell you, ambassadors have power, and they represent nations. And that's you have to respect them. We are in the Ukraine when we opened up the Ukraine, and the enemies were so strong, religious enemies. Religions were wanting to stop us. They went to the other countries and they brought 1,000 people to stop us, to tear down our platform and to ruin our event. But thank God for an ambassador. An ambassador of Ukraine to Germany came and he stood up on our platform, and nobody was going to destroy that platform while an ambassador was on it. So for the first 3 days, that ambassador opened up every service and spoke. And so all those thousands of people, they said, well, we can't we can't tear this down because he's on it. And so they set up their own. They said, we'll just set up our own. And they did that, and nothing happened there. So what happened was those people, thousands of them, that were called to destroy us actually got born again at our meetings, and it was wonderful. So God can turn somebody's evil into a blessing because, why? He sent the right person. Who was that person? An ambassador from that nation to Germany. So he sent that person, and that person would just speak for a few minutes at the beginning. That would stop everybody from their destructive plan that they had and stop all the religions from trying to destroy us. And so it was wonderful. So, can you handle another one? We still have some time. So I want to, are you enjoying it? Let me know. Send us a signal that you're enjoying this. These are ideas and concepts and truths and things that you might never have experienced, but I want you to experience them. Why? Because I want you to grow. I want your ministries to grow. I want your influence to grow. I want your income to grow. Why? It has to grow because why? You influence more, you help more, you reach more, you believe in yourself more, and all those things, more of those things in your life are what I want. Here's another one. I've got more here. I've got 10 essentials for the journey that you're on. 10 essentials. I just gave you craving, and I gave you action, and here's the third one. Can you handle another one? I hope so. Here's another one. Repetition. You might not have heard that word. That might not be something that you read about in the Bible. But repetition is very important. You can never rise above your persuasion, and repetition is what creates persuasion. You can never rise above your persuasion. So, in other words, when I started, this is actually a sports example. When I started tennis, the person who was not even a tennis pro, he worked for Ford Motor Company, and did a night job for making cars, and he did that. And but he said he wanted to help kids to be something, so he got a book on how to be a tennis player, and by Bill Tilton, one of the first tennis players ever. And he read that book, and he taught us out of that book. And there were 40 of us that started, and I was the only one that finished. But I was determined. Why did I finish? Why was I alone finishing? Because of this key, repetition. This is the thing. I mean, for hour after hour, hitting that ball, hitting that forehand, hitting that backhand, hitting the forehand, hitting the backhand, hour after hour. Hit the ball, pick up the ball. Hit the ball, pick up the ball. That is so boring. Out of the 40, I was the only one who remained. And because of that, God, I think, honored it and blessed me with great success in the world of sports. But I wanted to say that repetition is important in the world of ministry as well. Is that you create something, you don't forget it, you've had an experience, a positive victory. Listen, that's when you take advantage of that victory. What do I mean by taking advantage? A victory can create another victory. What we did as we would travel the world, and right now we're just writing books so that when we go, we'll be giving you books wherever we go. So what we do with the repetition, is you find something that is important, and you do it over and over and over again. If you have a victory in a meeting, then you don't stop the meeting, you keep going. Oh, I can tell you, when opening up Kyrgyzstan, the meeting would end up 10,000 people, and we could have gone another month there. I would have. But the pastor said, I'm tired. I don't want to do any more days. I said, Pastor, it's changing the capital. It's changing the nation. This is a Muslim nation. This is a very significant moment. And he goes, yes, it is doing all that, but I'm tired. And he quit. He said, with him, he took all of his people away. He's done. And we had to close it down. Because it's not just me, it's not just Leslie that can do it. This is a team effort. This is a group of people that do this together. And so when he took that down, I said, boy, we could have saved all of the nation. This was a moment, a historical moment for this nation. And a pastor got tired. So what if you're tired? I'm tired. But that doesn't mean that, because I recognize this, that moments, special moments, always cherish them. And they will create other moments. So whenever we have a meeting, we invite other people from other cities. Come, listen to us. If you like it, then let's talk about your city. And sure enough, if you're on the road and you want to have a victory, get a victory and make sure that there's others from other cities that are in that victory so they can go back to their city and they can bring you, and that victory will become another victory. That's just like David, when he killed Goliath, he held up the head of Goliath. It wasn't just the victory over Goliath, but he held up that head of Goliath and he told the people, he said, go after them, go after all of them. In other words, we've got a victory. Let's not just settle on this victory. Yes, it's a big victory, but no, let's get the whole nation here. Let's get it solved. Let's create our nation right here, right now, and stop all the enemies from destroying us. And so they all ran after the enemies, and they had a great victory, and they established what we call Israel today. Hallelujah. So, repetition. Remember that. Write that down if you haven't done it. Find something and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Make it a victory, and then from there, get another victory. And then from there, get another victory. And you will have enlarged your ministry. Hallelujah. Another one. Let's get number 4 on this. We're going to see how many we can get. I have 10 essentials for you. Number 1 was craving. Number 2 was action. Number 3 was repetition. Number 4 is legality. Understand your legality. Understand your legality. When I started ministry, I wanted to just do one-on-one. Matter of fact, I thought my only ministry was speaking one-on-one to a person, and so I developed a ministry called One-to-One, and I went around the United States and would teach that on a 1 to 2 week basis to the churches of America. One-to-one. That was my ministry. And then I had 17 people training for that in a city in a suburb of Detroit, and 17 people I was training, and one day nobody showed up. Of the 17, nobody showed up to be trained. So I said, well, Lord, what are you doing? Are you changing my ministry? And just then, when I said that, He gave me a vision of me standing downtown Detroit, Michigan, on top of a wall, and I was walking back with a Bible on top of this wall downtown. And so I said, well, I've never done that, but that was God. So I got in my car, I drove downtown, and sure enough, that wall was there. And there are thousands and thousands of people walking to a food celebration that they had every weekend in Detroit, and they had to walk past that wall. So I said, that's what I saw. I was on that wall with the Bible. So I climbed up on that wall with the Bible, and I began to preach. And that was my first time in a public preaching, was that wall. And that is so interesting because as I was preaching, after a while, a voice out of the crowd said, "Who gives you the right to preach to us? Who gives you the right to preach to us?" Well, I didn't know what to say, and I thought about it for a moment, and then they all started to say, yeah, about 75 people there. Yeah, who gives you the right? So then I thought to myself, well, who does give me the right? And so then I thought about the answer. They're all waiting for the answer. I said, Mark gives me the right. They said, Mark? I said, yeah. Mark 16 said, go into all the world and preach this gospel to every creature. And I am here in Detroit, which is a part of the world to go to, and I'm here to preach to you. And they all looked at me, and then they said, well, that's good enough for us. You're supposed to be doing that. So we're listening. And for 3 years, every weekend, I would go down there for 3 days and preach to them and start and help the churches grow in Detroit, Michigan. That's the change from one-on-one ministry to public ministry to crowds of ministry. And even as I was doing that, the next time I did that, the police came and they said, you have to get down from that wall. And I said, no, I have a right to this wall. They said, no, you've got to get down. So they forced me down. And so you know what I did? I didn't give up, folks. Listen, you can have obstacles, but listen, find out the answer. So I went to the law books, and I discovered that in the law books, I did have a right, because that was public place. I did have a right to speak in a public place. So I put it on a microchip, And I went back there and started preaching again. The police came again, and they said, "We told you to get down." I said, "It's not illegal what I'm doing." And they said, "We told you it is illegal." And they said, I got down and I opened up the microchips, showed them where it says in the law that I'm allowed to do this. And they looked at it and they said, "You're right. You are allowed to do this." So then they left, and for 3 years I preached there in the wall. So that was the beginning of my public ministry. Hallelujah. I know that some of you had that you should have that happen to you. And that's wonderful that you do. Have your experience. Have your public ministry. So, can you handle another? With 10 minutes left, we're going to have another. I hope you're enjoying this, because I'm giving you insights that are priceless. And I hope you're enjoying that. I hope you can write me or text me or something, speak to my team here, and just say, "Listen, this is what I got out of that." I love to hear what you get out of it. So, let's go on, okay? Essentials, okay? I have here a number of different essentials. I won't be able to get through them all, but the one of them I'm not going to say right now. It's going to be for the next month. It's about Caesar and how to stand before him. But let's go to the next one about fear. Fear. If you're hearing me say fear, fearlessness is what you need to have. Fearlessness. Never be afraid of a demon. Never be afraid of ignorance. My people are destroyed. Listen to what Jesus said. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So you can overcome fear. If you're listening to me and you say, I have fear, I couldn't do that, I wouldn't do that because I'm afraid of what people think, I'm afraid of what people might do. But listen, Jesus said this, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. These things were written, listen to what Jesus is saying, these things were written that you would know. These things were written that you would know. Get that out of your Bible, 1 John 5:14. 1 John 5:14. You're not destroyed because of others' religion. You're not destroyed because of lack. You're not destroyed because of your age. No. You're destroyed because of fear. Fear can destroy you. Let's go on to number 7. Lead yourself. Your tomorrow is the result of your decisions today. Your tomorrow is the result of your decisions today. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, he will reap. So we are walking on this earth, and we are every day, we're sowing seeds. Our words are seeds. Our actions are seeds. And so you can have thoughts if you keep them, negative thoughts. Just don't be speaking them. Don't be pondering them, but recognize the good thoughts and make good words out of them and repetition out of them so that you are building yourself up. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows. Listen, God is not mocked. This is in the Bible. Whatsoever a man sows, he will reap. Now that's good news once you get the practice of sowing good things, of saying good things. Well, how do you say good things? You think good things. So how do you think good things? You pay attention to what's going into your head. Pay attention to what you're listening to. Pay attention to what you're reading. And do like I do. I like to write things down that are happening. 2 greatest words in your vocabulary are yes and no. Yes and no. They're very important. What you say yes to, and very important what you say no to. Your past, no matter how, if you were in prison, how bad you were, how ugly you were, how poor you were, how uneducated you were, it doesn't make a difference. Your past does not dictate your future. Let me say that again. Your past does not dictate your future. Allow your future to be what you want it to be, not what it was. But then get a victory, get a story, get an action, get a salvation, save somebody. Speak to somebody. Write something. God has filled you with thousands and thousands of possibilities. Act on them. dictate your future. When I started the ministry, it wasn't by going up in front of crowds. I had no idea what ministry was. I knew I didn't want to go back to the church where I went 5,000 times and was going to hell. I knew that it wasn't there. So what I did was I just asked an organization, are there any needs out there that you have? And they said, yeah, we need a preacher in the Paiute Indians in Nevada, the state of Nevada. There's an Indian tribe called the Paiutes. He says we need somebody there. So I just got in my car and drove with $50 to the desert there in Nevada with the Paiute Indians, and it was terrible because every time I went out and talked to them, it was rejected. The door was closed in my face. There was a no, I don't want to hear. No, I don't want to hear. No, I don't want to hear. All this rejection, this rejection, this rejection. So you say, well, you want ministry. Well, listen, ministry could be rejection. That's what it was. It was so much rejection that what I did was I found a church that was open 24 hours, and I spent all night in this church that was open, and I was just praying that God release me from the Paiutes, release me from this position. I know that I decided on coming here, but release me. I am just rejected here. And the Lord spoke to me after about 6 hours of that. He spoke to me and he said, if you do not fulfill your call to the Paiutes, I will hold their lives on your hands. And so when he said that to me, I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not going to argue about this again. And I shut the book and I said, I'm just going to preach. Do what I can do as long as I can do it. And that's when I had my first convert happen. And after that, at the death of my convert, in 24 hours he was dead. At that death, the tribe listened to me as I was standing over his dead body. I thought I was going to resurrect it. It didn't resurrect. But 19 of the tribe got saved that day. And they said, well, we're not Christians. Would you do a Christian funeral for him? I said, yes. 20 of them got saved at the funeral. And from that day forward, the Lord said, now I release you. And so in other words, he was holding me until he got his harvest of the Paiutes. And then he released me. Listen, there's some Paiutes in your world. There's some people in your world. There's a group in your world that God needs you to speak to. And don't ever be afraid of it. Don't ever lose track of that. Go after it. It might cause you to lose, like me. I was losing hope. I was losing, nobody was listening to me. I was not getting any salvations. And it turned around. Patience turned it around. And patience will turn your life around too. So that's what we're going to close with. I believe that we've had the time. So we're going to close with the word patience. It reveals good from the great choices that you make. Do you pause before you send a letter? Do you pause before you speak? Be patient with yourself, patient with people, patient with your ministry, and God will turn it around so that you will be the victor. The victory is already yours, bought and paid for by the blood of Jesus. So it's just a matter of bringing that victory through you to this world. As far as you can see, God will give it to you.